Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you for having me come and speak. And I just want to say, job well done, everyone that was involved in this production and educating everyone on sickle cell. I get a little emotional, so excuse me. It really touched my heart to see this production because as a mother with someone that has sickle cell, it's an emotional journey every day. My son is 29 and he has been battling sickle cell all of his life. This production touched on the fact that parents knowing their status. So I'm going to take on a little journey really quickly here. When I was with my son's father at a young age, I knew I had sickle cell trait, so I asked him to find out from his mom if he's had sickle cell. He did not have sickle cell trait or sickle cell, so we proceeded on our relationship, and we had our son, and we were notified by the state of Georgia that our son has sickle cell. So it was very devastating to me to find that out because I saw the devastation of my family and friends that went through that, and I did not want to have a child purposely with sickle cell. Come to find out, his father has something called thalassemia that mixed with my sickle cell trait, gave our son sickle cell beta thalassemia. So I wanted to share that with you guys because you touched on it in this production about knowing your status. The last couple of years have been more challenging for us. My son has been in the hospital all his life, but this last couple of years has been really, really challenging. He has not really had a break. It's gotten very serious and a lot of pain daily. And so I'm very glad that you guys are bringing awareness to this. I think it's important for us to know what's going on in our community and how we can be of service and help to those that are going through the sickle cell crisis, both the patient, if you will, the person that has sickle cell, and the caregivers, because it can be challenging emotionally. Be a Match is definitely a place where we can find a cure if there is a match for the bone marrow transplant. It is very costly and it is very challenging and it is very risky. The person basically that is matched, the sickle cell person has to go through a lot to get healed, but that is definitely one of the things that is out there for us for sickle cell patients and stem cell transplant. So just to talk to you about the challenges, I mean, this production really touched on what it is to be in a hospital when you have sickle cell. The doctors don't always know about it. It's amazing to us that these professionals are not really knowledgeable on the care. It's amazing the fact that you go in there and they treat you as drug addicts. It's amazing that they don't listen to the person who has been dealing with sickle cell all their lives about what treatment plan works best for them. Love you too, thank you. So I am an advocate along with a village of people for my son, and making sure that they listen, that they hear what he needs, and we support him in his care, and we educate some doctors who are not educated. They will even tell you that it's probably one little chapter, one page in their book that they study when they become professionals. So it's very important for those of us who are caregivers that we are advocates for our loved ones and we support them. There are a lot of different things out now that they're trying on trial basis, which I'm excited about. So the future looks a little bit better than it did in the past. The life expectancy used to be in the 30s, now it's the 50s and a little bit older. The reason that we lose our sickle cell warriors is because they die from the medication, because of the organ damage from the medication. They're on narcotics, sometimes daily, as my son has to take medicine daily just to move about life. So it's very challenging, but their strength is amazing to me. My son is my superhero. His faith in God is great, and it keeps me. But I try not to get emotional, and I'm sorry, but it is so challenging to watch your loved one suffer. As this young man said, it's like a living hell. There's nothing you can do. So we pray every day for his strength and his healing. I know there are some individuals who have had the bone marrow transplant, and there are some individuals who have the stem cell transplant, and they have seen the other side, and it's beautiful. It is beautiful, and I thank God for it. So I have hope. And I know that one day my son too will be cured and we'll find a match or whatever type of treatment plan that we decide to go for him that's best for him and what he decides to do. And he'll see the other side of life and be able to have more joy in his day. So I encourage you to continue, even after today, to learn more about sickle cell, to donate blood if you can, because they have a lot of blood transfusions that help them through the crises. These crises are like broken glass flowing through your blood vessels. These crises are like hammers, someone beating you with a sledgehammer. The crises are so bad that sometimes they can't even talk because the pain is so severe. So the blood transfusions really help. The blood exchanges really help. So if you are an individual that donates, please continue to do so. If you have not donated blood before, please consider it because it can save a life. We have had many of them. He has had many blood transfusions throughout the years. So we really appreciate any of you that have donated blood so far in your life and continue to do so. And I want to talk a little bit about the emotional state, which was touched on in this presentation. You can suffer from depression, the caregivers as I have, my son as he has, because you plan things in life and then all of a sudden your plans have changed because all of a sudden you're in a crisis. It comes upon you in the minute and you can't really make plans in life. You try to live a normal life, but a lot of times those plans get derailed because you have to bring attention and take care of the sickle cell crises. So if you know someone that's going through sickle cell and you ask them to attend things with you and they have to cancel, please know it's not intentional. They're just trying to take care of themselves. And please know it affects them just like it affects you for missing certain events. And sometimes they don't want to be bothered, but just continue to reach out to them and pray for them and support those individuals. They are trying to now create sickle cell centers. So I know that that's something that's going on. A friend of mine has 3 daughters with sickle cell, and she has a group that goes out to create that brings awareness to sickle cells called My 3 Sicklers. And they're looking at putting out sickle cell centers, which I think is a blessing because right now you have to go to the ER. You can wait 3 to 5 hours in the ER just trying to get treatment, just trying to get pain management. So prayerfully, these sickle cell centers will be something that will be a benefit for the individuals with sickle cell. I can talk all day, so I won't labor anymore, but I want to thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to speak on it. I'm sending my love and support to all sickle cell warriors.
Hello, everyone. Today's presentation was especially educational. And as someone who kind of has medicine as a life and as a lifestyle, I can tell you that sickle cell is something that we as African Americans really need to put a lot more focus on. There have been periods in history wherein African Americans were not allowed to marry one another, even in this country, unless they were able to prove that they were not carriers of the sickle cell trait. And if it was discovered that one of the parties, did have the trait, they were not issued a marriage license because the government was afraid that they would have children who were sick, and they did not want to be responsible for having to take care of sick children that Black people could not afford. And during those times, the life expectancy of someone who had sickle cell was 15 years old. So even though we've made a lot of strides, and I'm glad that the presentation was able to focus on the fact that we now have, suitable treatments, just know that one of the biggest problems that we have is the fact that we as African Americans neglect the giving of blood so that our blood banks have blood types that match our own. And we are reluctant to apply for the opportunity to become bone marrow donors because we have this preconceived notion that we don't matter, or that our blood doesn't matter, or our bone marrow won't make a difference. And trust me, it does. The biggest shortages in our blood banks and in our bone marrow banks is that of the ones, people who are of African American descent. So, Ms. Jackson, thank you so much for, sharing your story, for helping us to understand that even though the presentation makes it appear as though it's just a story, that this is real life. And there are real people who are suffering from real illnesses that are solely ours. African Americans pretty much own the sickle cell disease. And what we don't realize is that this is slowly changing. Pretty soon there won't be it won't just be an African American issue, because we, are more and more beginning to, procreate with others of other races who bring in their own issues like thalassemia, which is almost the Caucasian equivalent of sickle cell disease. So when those things are combined, we create new issues for our children. So we need to make sure that we're educated. We need to make sure we know who we are and what the status of our own health is, what our health histories are. And only then will we really start to put a dent in this thing.